Hi everyone. Glad you can take a few minutes just to watch this very small presentation. Often I don't provide commentary on people's products in terms of a video or a legal assessment. That's what I would do as normally part of my day-to-day work. But the recent advertisements, promotion, campaign, whatever you want to call it, by Joe Wicks is quite an interesting one. In my own view, quite damaging to the industry in general, especially the category of high protein products, which the vast majority of us that have got any legal and especially scientific training in food law and health and food regulations know these contribute massively to the general health of most people, especially if we're transitioning someone from a really unhealthy diet into something which is much more structured and more healthy, and protein provides an integral part of that process. Now, in Joe's new product, which is legally for sale, can be purchased, and is foreseeable that this product can be eaten, makes a number of interesting claims as part of the sale of the product. These include things like the product may cause stroke, cancer, even death, as well as that the product, and this is where this assessment comes in at this point, is that it's legally for sale. Now, I would question that, and obviously only a court can make the decision in the end whether the product is actually legally for sale. But what we can do is carry out our typical legal and regulatory assessment of a product, at least on a superficial level. So I purchased the bar myself, and we've looked at the label, and we've come up with some interesting information about the actual product itself. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit about what Joe has said on his TikTok, and also then look closely at the product itself and let you make a decision whether you think that it's still legally for sale. Now, my view is if it's not legally for sale, then that's a huge error, because if you're going to say that the industry is in effect poorly regulated, and that you can make any health claims you want on a product, the first thing you would want to do is make sure that your own product is actually legally for sale, and that means meeting all the requirements under UK legislation, and obviously considering best practice and guidance. Okay, hope you enjoy the next few minutes. So thanks again for joining me on this assessment and closer look at the Killar Bar, which we can see here on the first of the slides of the presentation. Now, I want to be fair to actually tell you what Joe has actually said himself, so I'm going to let him speak. So this is from his TikTok account, and you can see up in the right hand side corner the actual is available for sale, and you can click that and follow that onto the website. But here's a quick overview of what Joe has to say about the product.
I've been working on something really important and top secret for a long time. Now, if I can finally reveal, I've created my very own chocolate orange protein bar. Look here, it looks amazing. It tastes delicious. It's got 19 grams of protein and 200 health and nutritional benefits. But the truth is, many of the ingredients in this product and lots of other ultra-processed food items are really potentially harmful to our health. In fact, excessive consumption of the Killar Bar, which is the UK's most dangerous health bar, can increase the risk of diarrhea, cancer, stroke and early deaths. And the worrying thing of all is this is legally available to buy right now at killarbar.co.uk. And the reason I'm doing this is not to make money. Any money we do make is going to healthy eating charities. This is a vehicle to put pressure on the government to change the way these items are labelled and marketed to us. And be honest, put transparent, truthful health warnings on these foods. Go and check out killarbar.co.uk, but remember, I do sell this bar, do not eat this bar. Check it out and let me know what you think.
So that's quite interesting in terms of the presentation. There's a few things that he brings up. First, he talks about that it's got 200 health and nutrition claims, that the product is legally for sale, that you can purchase on his site. Of course, he advises not to eat the bar, but that doesn't mean that you can't eat the bar, or it wouldn't be foreseeable to eat the bar, given you're actually purchasing the product itself. What would you do? Buy the bar and just put it in the bin? Well, it costs over £4, including delivery. So I think vast majority of people are going to sample that product, and that means it's foreseeable that you would eat the ingredients in the product, or part of the bar, which is suggested to cause cancer stroke and possibly early death. So let's take a closer look at the actual product itself. So here we have one side of the product. So we can see there's a number of different imagery on the pack itself. And let's have a little walkthrough from left to right. So it talks about stroke, cancer, early death. And Article 14.1 of the General Food Law, which is Regulation 178/2002, food shall not be placed on the market if it is unsafe. It also shouldn't be placed on the market if it is unsafe or injurious to health or unfit for human consumption. So what does that actually mean? Well, thankfully, the regulation provides a description of that. So Article 14.4 states that injurious to health includes immediate and or short or long-term effects, probably cumulative toxic effects. So I'm sure that what we'll see now and what's been intimated on the website is that yes, the bar won't instantly kill you, but over time, these things will damage your health. Therefore, that is a cumulative effect, a cumulative toxic effect, and therefore, looking at Article 14.1 and 14.4 together, it is unsafe and injurious to health, and therefore it should be not marketed. So in that sense, we can argue that the product is therefore not legally for sale if these claims are actually truthful. If they're not truthful, and it's a joke or it's puffery, then that should be made clear. Otherwise, the product would be being misleadingly sold. We can then look at the picture and other things on the product saying do not eat this bar, but more an image there which I think is of Joe Wicks because it's got speech marks where it says do not eat this bar, of looking quite ill and dishevelled, potentially from the consumption of the bar. But under Article 3E of the Health Claims Regulation, claims shall not give rise to or exploit fear in the consumer textually or pictorial about changes to bodily function. Well, I think that most people, if they were going to consume a food and thought they may get cancer, may have an increased risk of stroke or an increased risk of early death, then that would be a perfect fit for this article under the Health Claims Regulation, because those claims would give fear and show potentially with the imagery of Mr. Wicks there. As we turn to the other side of the product, which is probably much more what we're likely to see inside of a store, on a typical protein bar, nice bright colours, a number of different claims. So here on the left hand side, we can see 200 plus health and nutritional claims, which Joe talked about in his TikTok video and is on the website. Now, that's absolutely fine, you can make those claims, but there is a condition with making those claims. So under Article 10.3 of the Health Claims Regulation, reference to general non-specific benefits are only permitted if accompanied by a specific health claim. Now, as we can see on the front of the pack, there is absolutely no specific health claim, such as protein supports the growth and maintenance of muscle mass, or potentially a claim related to one of the vitamins and minerals. But we will come back to that, and potentially it's on another part of the bar or on the packaging itself. And we'll come back and look at that to see if it exists. Other issues that might be an issue, there's a nice picture there of an orange with some chocolate. There's nothing there that says that it's to do with the flavour. So does that suggest that the product's actually got real chocolate in and a real orange? Potentially they should have had unpacked something like imagery is representative of the flavour rather than the contents, but that's not stated. The other one is, it says contains 27 vitamins and minerals, highlighted there on pack, which should suggest that this could be viewed as a source claim with certain specific conditions of use. Now it says there under those articles, so the first one is 1925-2006, which is Fortified Foods Regulations, and Article 50, which is related to that on the Food Information Regulation. The total amounts of vitamins and minerals present when added shall be provided. And what we will see when we look on the back of pack, there's actually no quantification of the amount of vitamins and minerals. Again, a breach of this bit of the legislation. Finally, we have a nice healthy image there of Mr. Wicks holding a kettlebell. As someone who's been in the media for many years, has a degree in sports science, teaches the nation about exercise and nutrition, I'm sure that the vast majority of consumers would likely consider him a health professional in that area. And under Article 12C of the Health Claims Regulation, it prohibits claims making reference to health professionals. So on front of pack, we can see Joe, and we can also see that general health claim about nutritional benefits, which would be prohibited under that part of the Health Claims Regulation. Our final slide takes a closer look when we open up the pack. We can see there is actually no full health claims that have been made on the pack at all. So while we have the general health claim on the front of pack as regards 200 nutritional health benefits, it is not accompanied by any specific health claim making a concern of a breach of that part of the regulation. The nutrition declaration, where we can see energy, fat, saturates, carbohydrate, sugars, protein, salt and fibre listed. Well, this under Annex 15 of the Food Information Regulation is a prescribed format, so the table has to follow the format in that annex. It is a closed table and it must follow that format, and in that, fibre should precede protein, and as we can see, it does not. It is listed at the bottom of the table. We don't see here any vitamins and minerals, and if they were presented, they should be accompanied by the reference intake, and that is not there either. We can see the name of the product, which is a descriptive name that's used on this product. It says cocoa flavoured protein bar with orange layer, dark chocolate flavour coating, and orange crunchies with sugar and sweeteners. Yet it is not accompanied by the net weight of the product, which is a legal requirement under Article 13.5. The name of the product and the net weight should be in the same field of vision, and what we get is the net weight is on the front of pack, so it is not in that principal field of vision. We also have other ingredients outside of the vitamins and minerals that have not been quantified, and which to me look like they deliver a nutritional and physiological effect in the product. They're not there to provide some type of additive function. So for example, coenzyme Q10 in inositol, and those substances would not be exempt from quantification under Annex 5 of the Food Information Regulation. This is not the US regulations where proprietary blends are often used. Here in the EU and the UK, you must not mislead by omission, and you must give the consumer as much information as required to make an informed choice. We can see other small mistakes like the term sweetener, when there's clearly two sweeteners there, where it says aspartame and sucralose, so it should use the name sweeteners. Again, a breach of some parts of the legislation. And the final one is, if you use a health claim on pack, something like 200 nutritional and health benefits, then that should also trigger the requirements under Article 10.2a of the Health Claims Regulation to include a statement indicating the importance of a varied and balanced diet. We do not see that on pack either. So that is a super brief review. I hope you find it interesting when you're watching the programme this evening, and to consider whether the product is actually legal, and therefore have they done a good job in trying to argue the point that the legislation in the UK is not fit for purpose, whereas what might not be fit for purpose is enforcement. Will we see enforcement authorities look at the sale of this product, look at those errors and carry out a prosecution, or will it just be left to be sold as a joke? And maybe that's something then maybe the rest of the industry can decide to do when they feel like they want to make claims or not implement the legislation correctly on pack. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.